Thank you. I've been manifesting sitting here for a while. So I need some help.
Let's just say the help that anyone needs, thinks they need or wants, is the releasing of resistance. It's discovering the path of most allowance, or the path of least resistance. So let's just be clear about the only thing that helps. So
that is the help I need. I went through a pretty traumatic breakup.
That's not helping.
It's not. And when the gentleman about...
Well, you know why you felt traumatic? Because you didn't want to break up. But what did not breaking up represent to you? In other words, he doesn't want to fall out of an airplane. You didn't want to break up. And so the idea of breaking up feels as bad to you as falling out of an airplane feels to him. So what would not breaking up feel like? There's always something beneath something beneath something beneath. So what about not breaking up is it that you want?
A really wonderful, loving relationship.
But what's that got to do with breaking up with one that wasn't?
I thought he was the one that could have been that person.
Yeah, but he wasn't. So what's that got to do with what you now want? It just made you clear about what you want. And so what's the problem?
I've been trying to clear it up.
So the problem is, I thought I had it, I didn't have it, and now I don't think I can have it again. Because I thought I have it and I didn't have it, so I don't think I can have this thing I want. That's what the resistance is about, isn't it?
That's where I'm, stuck. And I keep trying to clear that up. And
no, you're not. No, you're not trying to clear it up. We love you so much. You're not even trying a little bit to clear it up. You're muddling it up with every word you speak about it. I had this traumatic experience, you said. Play the tape back. Oh, we can't do that. Can you? Had this traumatic experience and. So from where you now stand, because you see, the path of least resistance isn't something that you go back and unresist. The path of least resistance is where you go from here. The subject seems like it's a subject of relationship. It isn't. It's a subject of alignment. It seems like it's a subject of another person. It isn't. It's a subject of connection with your inner being. See if you can just find something that we could talk about relative to this subject that feels a little less resistant, and then we'll just work the bugs out of it as we go.
I am really wanting to realign to my source. I feel like that is the number one thing. Like if I could get back to where
now, this is really good, because that's not where you started, but it is what you know. So it just took a little bit of conversation to acknowledge what you really want. We have a big question for you. We really have it for everybody relative to the subject of relationships, but do you want another person in your life?
Yes.
And do you want another person in your life because that person in your life will make you happy?
No. There's both there, right?
So why do you want another person in your life?
Because that just felt so good to have that.
So I want another person in my life because that felt good. And the reason it felt good was because I wasn't resisting what my inner being knows about relationships. So the question that we have for you is, do you need another person in your life to feel good? You're afraid to say no, because then you'll think that we'll say, okay, that's done. Next. Okay, go forth, be alone forever, and just have a really good relationship with your inner being, because your inner being will never leave you. Your inner being will never walk out on you. Your inner being will never, ever let you down.
That's what I keep trying to tell myself.
Is this the subject of relationship, like with a person, or is this the subject of relationship with a person is conducive to me being in alignment with my inner being, and it's easier for me to be happy when I'm in love with someone who's in love with me, so that feels like the path of least resistance to me. It's a trap, so be careful. All of that's true. It is easier to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on when you're in love. It's so nice to have someone hold you as their object of attention and love you, because that is a path of lesser resistance for you to line up with who you are. But what is the subject at hand here? Is the subject a relationship with a person, or is the subject the way a relationship with a person affects my relationship with my inner being? What's the subject at hand? What's the real subject?
So what you just said. It was that it felt so good. I felt so aligned. And
so what you're saying to people that you meet is, I really need you, and I'm going to use you. I'm going to use you as my path of least resistance to what I'm really looking for, which is connection with source energy. So you better be good.
That's not what I want. I know that's not.
So let's say it in a different way. So that's really not a good path of least resistance. That didn't get you anywhere. How about this? I so love being in alignment with my inner being, and I'm getting better and better and better at it. And being in alignment with my inner being causes me to be this whole person who is vital and alive and being continually refreshed, and it makes me really nice to be with, and you will really like being the beneficiary of my tuned in, tapped in, turned on awareness and gaze. So now you're going about the relationship from the real way. I want someone to love because loving feels so good. And I have these infinite resources of love flowing through me. And so to have an object of attention to love is just the best thing. And you don't even need to be lovable. That's how good I am at being tuned in, tapped in, turned on. I'm just looking for an object of attention to love. And I have requirements. There's things that I've gathered along my physical trail that are really appealing to me. I'm not saying that I don't want something specific. I do. But the real factors, the real thing that's going on here is that I know what it feels like to be tuned in and be giving my attention to someone. And when I'm tuned in, I love having someone to give my attention to. That's a whole different thing, isn't it? And can you feel how different it feels and how in control of that you feel? Because the other is like, the perfect person needs to come along, and I need to see them, and I need to feel this, and then I'll be tuned in. That's backwards. There's no control in that. But you have utter control in your alignment with source. And you got to know that through all the life that you lived in coming together with that person and in moving apart with that person, that you clarified and amplified your vortex. And so your relationship that's germinating, that's gestating, that's on its way to you has all of the wonderful parts of that and more. And your inner being is already lined up with all of that. So doesn't it follow that when you do whatever you do to get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, so that you're in that receiving mode, so that the daydream can play across your mind and the impulses can come to you, doesn't it feel perfectly logical to you that that's the path of least resistance that will lead you to all of that? And does the old relationship have anything to do with that other than it provided valuable information that made what's coming even more significantly wonderful for you?
Yeah.
So did this conversation help in taking the sting out of that? Did it take a feeling of loss away? I didn't lose anything. This relationship was the bouncing off place where I gained so much more. And most important, this was never the subject of relationship. This was always the subject of my alignment with who I am, and then a relationship, and then other things. Yes?
Yes. I had that alignment before I met this person, and that's where I'm just like, well, I just want my alignment back and my happy back and clearing up my vibration. So I've been doing all of your processes.
Well, isn't it a nice thing when you have an experience that shows you that when you're looking for alignment in all the wrong places, you can't count on it. But when you're looking for alignment where it really is, then it's something that's stable that you can always get back to.